Assalamu alaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuhu. A'udhu billahi minash shaitanir rajim. Bismillahir rahmanir rahim. We begin in the name of Allah, the most beneficent, the most merciful. This series that we're going to do is on death. Death is part of life. As we remember, one series we did on the ruh, the nafs, and the ruh, the body and the soul. And we talked about the 5 different lives that we actually go through. Well, the thing is, coming to death is actually the 4th life. So we had talked about all 5, and we talked about, now we're talking about some more details on death. Before we actually get involved deeper into death, what we're going to be discussing is just a recap of how, as we mentioned in further videos before, of our creation. When Allah created us, we're in the 2nd life in the belly of our mother. That life, on 120 days, the angel of death comes and puts the soul in the body of that child. That's giving it the ruh. The ruh is the soul. And he brings 4 pieces of information at that time. This information is very important because one is the time and date of and the place of where you're going to die. It's been written already since you're getting the ruh in at that point. It was written. The angel that puts the soul in the child, and the time and date and place where you're going to die and when. Also, he put information of what your livelihood will be, whether you're going to be blessed or you're going to be a wretch, and your deeds. All that's put in at that time. But the key thing for our subject is the death. So that has been written since you're in the 2nd stage. So before you arrive into the 3rd stage of life, which is this world. So the 1st is when we're soul. 2nd, in the belly of our mother. 3rd life is in this dunya, this world. And the 4th life is in Barzakh. And the 5th is in the everlasting, whether it's in heaven or hell. That is the 5th life. But our subject, going back to, is death. So once you understand when it was programmed by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, at that point. Now, let's look at the death part. When our beloved relatives, family, friends are sick and they're dying. And it's interesting, most people, either they get a sickness or an accident, and which weakens the body. And how is that? Which is kind of interesting. I'll go through a hadith. There's a hadith with Prophet Musa. Musa, peace and blessing be upon him, was a mighty messenger. As many people recall, which we'll be covering in another video, his history. He's the one that Allah spoke directly to on Mount Sinai. Mount Sinai is where he got the revelation from Almighty Allah. Allah gave him the laws, the Furqan, which is the scriptures of right and wrong. Now, he was a mighty messenger and a very powerful and strong man. What happened is, when the angel of death came to take his life, he said, I don't want to go. And he beat up the angel of death. This is hadith. If you research the book Spectacle of Death, it will tell you this. In the hadith is of Musa beat up the angel of death and blind him in one eye. So the angel of death went back to Almighty Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and says, Ya Allah, your servant beat me up and damaged my eyes. So Almighty Allah restored his sight. And the angel of death said, your messenger wants extension of time. Extension of time, he says. So Allah says, tell my servant that I will give him time as much as hair he has on the palm of his hands. Allah will give him as much extension as the palms. Tell me anybody who's got hair in the palms of their hands. Nobody has. so he did not get an extension of life. So he went back and he told Musa, Allah says, you know, he will give you extension as much hair as is a palm on your hands, and he had none. So he accepted it, and the angel gave him a sweet apple. He ate, and then the angel took out his soul. And the angel had after then asked Almighty Allah, subhanahu wa ta'ala, to weaken the people. So do not fight me. Weaken them. So this is where we have that people get sick. Now when we do our natural healing, there's many things we talk about, and there's one hadith that talks about a product called the seed of blessing, black seed, haba soda. And the hadith says, Allah created all disease, and He created a cure for all except for maut, which is death. So this is everything you can find a cure for. And we're going to do a whole series on health and healing from the Quran and from the Bible. But what my point was, everything you can get a cure for except for the time of death. There is no cure. There's no king, there's no prime minister, person in your country, there's no scientist, doctor can cure you when is your time to go or prolong your life. When is your time is written, and that's it. Now, this is to give you a background of how we have the punishment of sicknesses, and some people have accidents that causes them to take their for the angel of death to come and takes their life. Now we're going to look at some different things here. We're going to look at some different information that we want to discuss that.